Doug Mortman, Dave LaGreca, Bray Wyatt for a first time. Very excited, and just to get right into it, I think the most impressive thing about this build between you and The Undertaker is the lack of The Undertaker. So we've been most impressed with you because you've basically run this program by yourself. You've been talking to yourself and talking to the fans. There's been no Undertaker. How difficult has that been for you?
Not difficult at all.
You love it?
Because, I mean, if you look back, Undertaker has nothing to prove, man. You know? He's got nothing to say. He's The Undertaker already. Everyone knows it. So this has been more about me trying to legitimize myself, as a worthy opponent for the Phenom. And, I've felt that way for a long time, and this is what I've always wanted since day one. You walk in this place, most people say, I want to be WWE champ, that's cool. And that's something maybe down the line, but that was never number one for me. Number one for me was always Undertaker at WrestleMania, because that's as high as it gets,
And it seems like the perfect fit with your character, the way your character is. That doesn't surprise me at all. And you talked about legitimizing yourself being in the ring with The Undertaker. The way the fans have reacted to you, we talk about it on our show all the time, and we're flashing the cell phone too when you're coming down the entrance ramp. I mean, what's that like? You're the creepy heel, you're face of fear, but you're getting the reaction as if you were a face.
Well, that word gets thrown around so often.
Face.
The creepy.
Creepy. Well, you are.
It's not like I don't wake up in the morning, look at my face, and slap some water on and say, let's be creepy today. It's I just try to be me, and I walk. It's pretty sad that it comes across that way.
No, don't take offense to it.
But no, I think that's a good. Let's instead say of creepy. Let's say demonic. Let's say scary. Let's say fear.
Cool.
Somebody to be feared.
Cool.
That's. I mean, to me, that's how you're coming off. I get what you're saying. Creepy too. I think you could throw a lot of adjectives in there.
Yeah, and what I love about the fans too, is the respect they've given me back, for me giving them my all, and I really have. I promise you, I really have. And I think what they associate themselves with, and you said creepy and this and that, is that I just tell the truth. I do everything I can to just make sure that I tell them the truth, and I give them something that's authentic and genuine, and something that they can sympathize with, something they understand, things that not everyone's gonna say, as far as my views on society or the world as a whole, the way I see it, I want them to at least have a chance to see it as well.
Yeah.
And that's the respect, when people all the fireflies are holding out, however many lights that are all around the entire arena, it's just this aura, man, and you can't recreate it any other way. It's just a feeling, an energy.
But it's odd because when you first came on the scene, like my daughter was scared. She saw the promos and she was really scared. Now she's got the hat and she's got them. She's into it. So it's funny how real life really is the fact that you can be scared of something, but then when you really listen, the points and the views are valid enough to turn people around.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't believe in, a good guy and a bad guy. There's no such thing. John Cena, you're going to sit there and tell me he has no flaws? Get out of here.
We know he does.
There's a such thing as a good person, but he still does bad things, and exactly the same as a bad person that still does good things. And I like to see myself right in the middle there somewhere, because I do my everything bad for a reason and a purpose, and that's how I, that's how I explain it.
Well, there's also this connection that you certainly have made with the fans, and I think there's been ebbs and flows to it, because there was definitely the start, and we know very little about this guy, but boy, he does scare you. And then there was this ebb where it's like, my God, he's saying these things, and damn it, I agree with him, and I like him. And I think the fans showed that. Like you said, the fireflies and the cell phones and all that stuff, which really made you more likable. And then I think that it's taken another arc where now you seem angry with the fans, and you've been playing this, you've been orchestrating this brilliantly. Talk about how much work you put into this, because I mean, you really, it seems like you embody this and you embrace it in a significant way.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And here's the thing, I can't say that I'm playing a character because I'm not. When I walk out there and the lights are on, boom, 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 and I know that I have a few minutes to go out there and talk to the world on a microphone. It's not. I'm not trying to read notes and make sure you get this point across. Make sure you get this point across. It's just once I get out there, it just projects, and if it goes, if it was meant to go here and it goes off here, I don't care, because that's what I want the people to understand is that I'm doing this for them.
Yeah.
I'm doing this to explain where I'm going and what's happening.
Right.
And with a John Cena, like you said, the curve. With a John Cena, it's easy to point out the anti-hero, or the hero, and point out all his flaws and say, well, he does this and he does this and he does this, and guess what? He bleeds and he breathes and he walks on the street just like you and I do, And with the Undertaker, it's not the same. With the Undertaker, he's a whole other side of the spectrum, and it's not that I dislike people or fans or things like that. It's that it has become like I've become so warped in like this envy of the Undertaker and who he is, and my whole life is based around this fact that one of these days I have to dethrone the king, because that's my place in this world, and I think that's why it's come out so violent and full of rage, is because I have to have this. It's my drug.
Well, you're mentioning how it's natural, and we all know that there's another side where there's a creative element to this company. And how much do you have to push off the creative and say, I got this? And how much influence did they might have on at times what you say?
Well, that's hard to explain, because whatever creative is whatever I come up with as far as who. You know what I mean? And when you look at Undertaker, no one's going to give me a script or something like that, because that's not. It's since day one, And Triple H has always been a big supporter of mine, and he's always helped me. And when you're on NXT, it was, I don't know how it is now, but it was. I mean, you're here. You're shooting 4 shows in one night, and. There's not much time for thinking in between that. If I have 4 segments where I'm doing, a speech, I'm not gonna go back and try to. Oh my God! Oh no! I gotta read this. It's gonna come from what I need to get to you. What I need to get to you and to make this, come together.
Your mic skills are obvious. I mean, anybody
Thank
that's
you.
seen you knows how good you are on the mic. Chris Jericho's a good friend of the show, and that match you had with him to start off Raw, that cage match, he called it one of the best of his career. 5-star match. I mean, he said that. So
it's on his DVD.
Yeah, it's on his new DVD as well. When you were in that match, is that where really you got that respectability too? Not only for what you could do on the mic, but what you can do in the ring as well.
It's the same as Undertaker, If you look at everything Chris Jericho's done, you can't help but be impressed and in awe, because Chris Jericho is one of the greats. He's a future Hall of Famer in this company. And when you step in the ring with someone like that, there is a respect. And you have to know that this guy is lethal. This guy he's done the dance with anyone that could dance, in the past. And just to be able to step in, and I actually had my first match with Chris Jericho on NXT.
Yeah.
And it was like the first time that had actually happened. Like a super big star came down to NXT and wrestled one of the NXT, elite. And that kind of I owe Chris a lot, because Chris jump-started me. He chose me and he picked me. And Chris is one of the best ever. But that respect, it has to be in there. That's what we are.
And he came back for you, because he's been very, very outspoken the fact that he's not just going to come back for any reason. I mean, he came back just to have a feud with you.
And what an honor that is, when Chris Jericho wants to come back and you are the reason, and you find out you're the reason, it is such a motivator. You know, it makes you want to move, and you start feeling as if you're attached to this, and as if you're going to be stamped as one of the greats, you know, in the future. And it's moments like those, you just boom, 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 notches in my hat, you know, as I go forward. And Chris Jericho, having wrestled him at SummerSlam, having wrestled him at NXT and everything in between, you know, what a great thing, trophy to show for my career, you know?
Yeah, and I think the getting there is also an interesting thing for me, because I could be foolish, or maybe I'm on the money and saying you were born to do this. You know, a third generation guy, you know, grandpa, dad, your brother's in the business. I mean, it seems like the pedigree was always there. Is this always something that you've had this burning desire and passion to do?
Well, I remember, here's a little story. I haven't told anyone else this. I've been asked that question a bunch. But, you know, when I'm a child and I'm sitting in class and the teacher's, you know, she's going, well, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? What do you want to be? And, you know, kids are going, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be the president. I want to be this. I want to be that. I remember looking at him and saying, I'm gonna be a pro wrestler. And them all laughing because I was new and they didn't know who I was already. But it was not funny to me, because it was just like, yeah, well, I'm telling you like it is. I'm not asking you, and I'm not giving you something absurd like an astronaut. I'm telling you the truth, lady. Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's people like that have all added to, you know, who I've become as a man and as an individual, because I never took well to doubt. I never took well to failure, because I haven't done much of it in my life. So, you know, it is ingrained in me, and to some extent at least, you know.
What was it like, too? You know, I grew up reading the pro wrestling magazines, but seeing your family in the you know, going through those and seeing that, I mean, that must have been a joy for you, but at the same time, that must have been an inspiration as well.
Oh, absolutely, you know. It's also, it's a very bizarre thing to explain to a child, you know, why on this magazine his grandfather's covered in blood, you know.
Yeah.
But in my upbringing, it was normal, you know. It was normal, this kind of violent thing, you know. I thought when Grandma went to work in the morning, she was going to you know, wrestle. You know, that was normalcy for me, you know. That was life, wrestling.
You know, last year or over a year ago, you have just an amazing match with Daniel Bryan at the Royal Rumble. This past Rumble, you dump Bryan.
Yeah.
So there's one guy. Last year's WrestleMania, we talked about Jericho. Last year's WrestleMania, it's John Cena. Okay, now it's the Undertaker. When you look ahead and you have a whole long future ahead of you, I mean, you're putting some major notches in your belt.
Yeah.
But what is the future for Bray Wyatt?
Well, you know, there's a future with everyone here. I feel like when I'm old enough and I'm done, when my DVD comes out, there will be, hopefully Bray Wyatt beat Undertaker at WrestleMania. You know, Bray Wyatt beat Chris Jericho at SummerSlam. Bray Wyatt beat John Cena, and then just 400 matches of me versus Daniel Bryan and me versus Dean Ambrose.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's where my life is going. Roman Reigns as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that I mean, so you do see how great that Bryan match was. I mean, that one sticks out in my head as long as the day is long.
Yeah. Well, you know, Dean and Bryan. You know, well, Dean especially. You know, me and Dean used to kill each other in front of 10 people for no reason, just because. You know, and Bryan came from that type of environment as well, where and everyone did here. I'm not going to say, well, most, but when you have that mutual respect for someone because you've seen the same ropes, you walk the same ropes, you know, you form a bond. And I have to have wars with Daniel Bryan, and I have to have wars with Roman Reigns, and I have to have wars with Dean Ambrose, and they'll stop when none of us can walk anymore.
Captivating the crowd. I mean, that's been a big thing, especially on our show, talking about some guys click, some don't. You obviously do, right? I don't drink Red Bull, but if you said to me, Dave, drink the Red Bull. I'm down in the Red Bull. You just have that connection. But what is it that makes you connect with the crowd? Because let's face it, Roman Reigns, it's been a big discussion how he's clicking with some people and not clicking with most. What is that factor that gets you to connect with the crowd? You have it. What do you get to obtain that?
I mean, you guys can understand this as radio personalities. It's you can't let anyone else tell you who you are. The only way to get across to people is to give them something genuine and give them something that they can actually feel, because if you don't feel it, they won't feel it. So if you try to just put on this facade and force something, it is what it is, and people are going to see right through it. They understand that. They're not idiots, no, you know. But if you're giving them something and you're pouring your heart into it, and this is everything to you, because it's everything to you in your normal life. To me, that's what my key is. At least I can't speak for everyone, but I've tried to be something I'm not, and I've tried to be everything that I am with the volume turned up, and one has worked better than the other.
And Dave mentioned Reigns, and you mentioned Reigns as somebody you enjoy going against. Can Reigns? Let's just suppose Reigns beats Brock, and I don't think a lot of people out there think that that's going to be the case, but let's suppose he does. Is he going to take that championship and run with it? Is he going to win the fans over? Give us some insight on Roman, and can he take that mantle and go with it?
Roman Reigns is everything he's advertised to be. Roman Reigns, I mean, if you talk family, look at his family and all the legends and the legacy that he has to uphold. Roman Reigns beats Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. That is my personal opinion.
Wow.
And then Roman Reigns has a very lengthy, long title run where he takes out everyone until he meets Bray Wyatt.
I like it. And there'll be a new one. Will you have you know, you said, Joe, it's always fast moving. You don't have time to really think, but will there be a moment on Sunday where you kind of just enjoy the moment when you're in the ring with The Undertaker?
I think every second of it, you know, it would be the war between angels and demons in my head all day that I'll have to worry about. Do this, don't do that, don't do that. And once I get out there, it's just, you know, I finally get to breathe freely and just live in the moment, because you don't get this. I may never get this again. And so I only get to be out there once. And when I've never watched my match back with John Cena. I don't like to watch matches back. I like to remember them. But for some reason, that match, I just don't remember. And I don't know if it was because it was my first and I just couldn't. But I don't remember that one, and I'm not going to make the same mistake this year. I'm going to feel everything as it happens, nice. And you know, I'm going to take it all in, and then I'm going to show out.
And what do you expect in that match versus the Dead Man? I mean, and give me, as your music hits and you're walking up the ramp, and then as you hear that dong.
Yeah, it's I can't even tell you because I haven't done it yet. So I think that there's a respect factor like we talked about, but I can't estimate how I'm going to feel. I can't give that to you. It's going to be whatever it is, and hopefully, you know, he does show up. You know, I haven't seen the guy yet.
We haven't seen him either.
Yeah. So even when he does show up, I'll just have to experience it however I experience it, you know.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen on Sunday, Bray, but I know for sure that Doug and I will be talking about it in our post game. I'm sure we'll be talking about it the Monday after, because sitting down with you here right now has been a pleasure. Yeah, and I feel we're going to see something memorable on Sunday.
I will give you all I got, that I promise.
Yes, and we believe it, and I think that's the beauty of you, is that the passion just exudes, and that's something to be proud of. Not everybody can show that passion, be open with it, and just let it rip, and you've been marvelous at that. Mm-hmm. Congratulations. Best of luck.
Much respect, fellas.
Thank you, my
Let's
friend.
talk again, Bray.
All right, absolutely.